Recently, the Mercure Watch Group reached out to me offering me one of their watches to feature on this channel. And when they did do that, I knew exactly which watch from their range that I wanted. Hello, you're watching James. My name's James, you're watching me, and I am talking about watches. And if you have heard of the watch group Mercure, you'll know that they own a few different watch brands. They sort of all come under the same umbrella. And within those ranges, there are lots of different watches and lots of different variations of different styles of watches. And one of these variations of styles that they have is the jump hour movement. They've released a number of watches, a number of different case shapes, a number of different dials, all containing this really interesting, very fun, very different type of movement. Something that I've actually quite enjoyed. I've had one of them before and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the difference about it. I also enjoyed the size of that watch and the quality. But when they reached out to me again saying, hey, would you like another watch to feature? There was one that I'd seen that I knew I wanted to get hands on with because I thought it was probably the best looking that I'd seen on their website. But because they actually did send this watch out to me to actually own and wear and enjoy myself and then feature on the channel and share my experiences with you guys, you would have seen that then sponsored icon pop up. And of course, that means I'm going to leave some links below. So thank you again to Mercure Watch Group for sending me out something really rather special. And now I want to show you it in some more detail and show you why I think it's so special. So yeah, there's a number of these versions of this particular sort of jump hour from Mercure, branded as Saizen. This is the W10. I'm not sure if that's sort of listed for a number of these different variations of it, but this is the particular dial that I really like. This sort of breaking up of different colors, a little bit of red popping as well. I don't know, I just really like this one. The packaging was really good for travel. It arrived safe, but nothing particularly special. Comes with that universal booklet and a few other bits and pieces. And you'll see that it's branded Mercure and there's a fitted branding like that on the watch too, as well as that Saizen branding. And depending on which model you go for, it does vary a little bit of price. This one here is listed at 164 US dollars. And I think for that, you're getting something actually rather special and a really nice on-wrist experience. I really feel like I picked the right watch. I had the option to pick almost any of the watches that they had on offer. It wasn't specifically their jump hours, but the jump hour was one of the features that grabbed me. Also the look of this watch, the overall dimensions of this watch, and that case shape. But let's talk about the dimensions first, and then I want to look a little bit deeper at that dial because there's a lot of details going on that really make this something a little bit interesting and special. The case directly across is 37.6. Across the case is 38.2, including the crown, it's 41. It's 12.9 millimeters tall, a super compact lug-to-lug of 43.5, and a 20 millimeter lug width. And on the strap that it comes with, it's 67.4 grams. So that sizing really does suit this watch and make it sit nicely on wrist, but it's the look of this watch that did really grab my attention because that circular disc is almost what I would call a champagne color. It has an almost sparkly effect to it when you look closely. The jump hour feature is inset into that. That's actually the hour, so you read that as the hour. This one here is the minute hand. Then there's some printing on there with Saizen. Outside of that, we have a larger circle with the numbers that are then printed on top. And that larger circle has concentric circles sort of dug into it, which you don't really notice when you're looking straight at it. But when you get it out in the light, those sort of inbuilt or ingrained 3D circles play with the light a little bit. And that same circular pattern is then also used on that sub-second registry. That sub-second registry is set down into the dial a little bit, but also has that concentric circles. And those concentric circles really do play with the light. It's quite an interesting effect. Everything else then is on printed, including the sort of seconds sort of markers around there, around that sub-second track. There is a minute track, sort of railway track around the outside. That second hand is red, which gives you a little bit of a flash of color, which I'm not actually completely convinced actually works on this dial, but yes, at least it gets a little bit of color. The hour hand is obviously missing because it is a jump hour feature, so it just has that one nice long, it's like a sword shape minute hand, I guess. When you turn the lights off and have a look at the loom's actually fairly good. The only problem is you can't read the hour because that jump hour window is not loomed. So you're only seeing those sort of minute markers, the numbers, and that minute hand. So if you already know what hour it is, I guess that's okay. But other than that, you're not really going to be able to tell the time properly. That very cool looking dial is covered by a boxed piece of mineral crystal, and it's actually quite tall, which is included obviously in that measurement I gave you earlier. So even though I said it was sort of 13 millimeters, a big chunk of that is that boxed crystal. And just confirming for you there, yep, mineral crystal. Now this sort of torno shaped case, I guess, allows for some really interesting effect with the brushing, because the brushing is vertical and it comes up over those lugs along the sides and continues all the way to the tops of those lugs. So that's quite a nice sort of continual sort of finishing. Flat links there, which allows for the strap to fit in nicely, and it really nicely then fits in with that strap that comes with it. And then the sides are all polished, and there's a bit of a downturn to that case too. The back is just one of their standard case backs. It's a screw-on case back, has the Mercure line there. Now the crown there is unguarded. It's got the Mercure sort of, well, I call it the envelopes logo there because it looks like a bit of an envelope. Not screw down, but it does have hand winding. There is no hacking, so the second hand is still moving. And then this jump hour, if you concentrate on that hour window, you'll see jumps hours, I guess. It's called the jump hour, and that's why. Now, I don't know exactly what this movement is. I'm not sure exactly what the lift angle of this one is, but it will be quite interesting to stick this on the time grapher to see how it's performing. Now, I'm sure you're probably as surprised about these figures as I am. As you can see, 21,600 vibrations per hour, almost no beat error, very high healthy amplitude, and running at 0 seconds per day. You can't ask for much more from a movement out of an affordable watch. Now, I've seen this strap before. This was on another Sizen or another Mercure watch that I owned, and I really like it. It's got a nice feel to it, nice look, nice and thick, reinforced holes, good stitching, good keepers, nice hardware. And the one that I owned before I wore a lot, and it was very good. I did find that this started to fray a little bit after time, just because when you are putting it on, you're pushing it sort of through those metal keepers all the time, but it only frayed just a little bit. It wasn't particularly ragged, just it sort of frayed a little bit. So I can tell you that it lasts nicely. It's very comfortable because I have worn this one on another watch for a long period of time. Just that tends to fray just a tiny bit. But as you can see, it's kind of a heat sealed, so you can probably run a lighter over it or something just to fix that if it starts to do that for you too. Now you'll see that I'm actually on the last hole of this strap. Now I normally actually wear it on the second last hole, but I don't want this flopping around for the sake of the video, just nice when it's sort of held on tightly. You can see it actually suits my 17 centimeter wrist really, really well. And if you've got a smaller wrist than me, this will suit you very well, but you might find that you may end up needing to swap the strap out. But because it has those flat links, it will actually suit, I think, almost any strap. I think it'll look really good. What a great looking watch, what a comfortable watch, and look how it sits down on wrist. An absolutely lovely experience. So I do really, really like this watch, but I don't like everything. So what is it exactly that I do like? What don't I like? And what would I change? Well, the first thing I do like about it is the general look. So I think aesthetically, that's a cool looking watch. The jump hour feature is very cool, but it's actually just the coloring and the arrangements, the sub-second registry and the different colors. I think that is cool. The jump hour feature, yes, that is very cool. And I like how comfortable it is and the sizing of it on wrist. However, I'm a little bit unsure about that sub-second, the red. Do you think red actually works there, or should it have been silver? Or maybe even like a lume color? I'm just a little bit unsure why it's red. So that's probably definitely something that I would change. I'd also absolutely love for that jump hour window to be loomed. So definitely something I would change. I'd change the second hand, I'd loom that window, because then after dark, not only would you have that good loom with the minute hand, but you'd actually be able to read the hours as well. I also find the branding always a little bit confusing with these. We've got Mercure on the packaging, Sizen on the dial, the Mercure logo, then there's this Mercure lion head on the back. I think if they just made it all the same or sort of consistent, I think it would work a little bit better. Not that it makes any difference when you're wearing this one on wrist. So obviously this is the variation of this watch that I like. There are different dial variations, even different case variations containing the same movement. But this one, it really does stand out to me. And depending on which one you might want, if you want to buy one for yourself, they do vary a little bit in price. This one here, the one that I've shown you today, is around 160 US dollars. And I think you're actually getting a lot of watch for that. A lot of interest factor, a lot of quality, a great size, a fun watch, an elegant watch, and something that I've appreciated having in my own personal collection. And if you want to see another Jump Hour watch from this particular watch group, well, you can watch that video here and maybe check out this other one too.